Hello class, this week we are looking at Hitler's Lightning War. We're sort of going to look at what are the main objectives and how does Hitler start World War II. Now, if we were to look at the three sort of objectives for this week, we are going to be looking at setting the stage for World War II. We're also going to try and understand some of the hard decisions that people had to make as World War II is beginning. The last thing we were looking at is understanding the key reasons.
So at the end of the last chapter from last
Europe,
week,
this
and
is
Northern Africa,
31.4, we talk a little bit about the non-aggressive pact. This is a pact between Germany and Russia. And basically, with this pact, they secretly decided that they were going to divide Poland, that the western half of Poland would go to Germany, and that the northeastern half would go to Russia. The reason why Russia agreed to this is because Russia was left out of the Munich conference. They thought that they were not exactly happy with being left out of this conference, and they sort of took it out on the Western nations. So once that this non-aggressive pact is signed, Hitler acts very quickly. And on September 1st, 1939, Hitler immediately launches a huge invasion of Poland. Now, this invasion is the first example of what we call Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. Basically, Hitler is using every sort of military thing that he has, and he starts bombing the main capital of Poland, Warsaw, and many other parts of Western Poland. And he sort of annexes the western half of Poland, which is where mostly German people were living. This sort of shocked the rest of Europe. First of all, the rest of Europe didn't really realize that there was a secret agreement to take over Poland between Russia and Germany. The second thing is, with the Blitzkrieg, it was such a massive attack that many people were left shocked and surprised and not really knowing how to respond. The USSR and Germany, they end up splitting Poland between the two of them. Immediately after Germany starts to attack Poland, they've sort of annexed the western part of Poland. The Soviets then make their own move. So what the Soviets end up doing, and remember at this time, Stalin is in charge of Soviet Russia. The Soviets end up annexing Lithuania, Latvia, the rest of Poland, so this is the eastern half, and they expect that they're going to easily take over Finland as well. What they didn't expect is that Finland is one of the coldest countries in the world, and their armies were not really ready to take over in the weather. But eventually they do take over Finland in March 1940, okay? So this is sort of what's happening with Soviet Russia. Going back to France, after the Blitzkrieg, which is sort of the attack that Germany made on Poland, there sort of is a phony war. Now, what a phony war is, like a fake war. So the French and the British, they have already declared war on Germany. And they have mobilized all their armies to go to the French border. And basically, when they mobilize their armies, they are waiting to attack. So French and Britain, they are on the defensive. They do not want to be the first people to attack Germany. Hitler has not ordered an attack on France and Britain either. So what ends up happening is both sides are actually waiting not that far from each other, just about 100 yards from each other. And they actually call it sort of the sitting war. We have the Allied side sitting, looking at the Axis powers, and they're both just saying, well, no one's ordering us to fight each other, okay? This is what the phony war is. But eventually, Hitler does have an attack. Now, he does not attack France and Britain. Instead, Hitler decides to go and capture Denmark and Norway. Denmark is captured in 4 days. Norway, it's not as easy, but within 2 months, Norway, which is in Northern Europe, is also captured by Germany. Germany then quickly starts to build up a German border in those countries. Okay, this is sort of not the type of plan that France and Britain was expecting. They were expecting something similar to what happened in World War I. After Hitler has already taken over Denmark and Norway, Hitler moves in and conquers the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. These are all smaller countries close to Denmark as well. After they've conquered these countries, they sort of squeeze through France. What this means is that the northern part of France is a very wooded area. It's a little bit hard to mobilize an army through sort of tall trees and stuff like that. But the Germans, they're able to do that, and they say that that's like them squeezing through, okay? And within 10 days, they are at the French coast, and they are sort of ready to fight the French. But if you remember, the French, they are sort of mobilized in a different area of the country. So at this point, Hitler is sort of moving in around the northern part of France, and he's closing in on the Allies. The Allies have no choice. These are British and French soldiers at the time. They have no choice but to retreat to the coast at Dunkirk. So Dunkirk is a beach near a small Belgian city. This ends up happening. We have a huge rescue at Dunkirk, okay? Now, during this time, we have Winston Churchill. He is the Prime Minister of England. If you remember on a map, we have England as a separate island off of France and Belgium, and there's the English Channel in between. So what ends up happening is we have Winston Churchill sets out any boat that he can to go and rescue the troops that are trapped by the German army at Dunkirk. So if you can imagine, there's boats going back and forth across the English Channel bringing soldiers to England. Now, if you remember, at this time, you're going to have many German airplanes bombing these boats. So this was quite a courageous rescue. In June 1940, France ends up surrendering to Germany. So now we see that Hitler has now conquered a good part of Europe. Okay, he has conquered France, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Norway, Denmark. These are all now under Hitler's control. So my first question for you is, thinking about Hitler's military strategy, I want you to summarize what is his military strategy. And secondly, I want you to discuss why was his military strategy successful. That is your first question for my video. So now that France has sort of fallen under Germany's influence, basically the only person left in Europe who is willing to fight against Hitler is England. Okay, so we have Great Britain. They're sort of left alone. But we have Winston Churchill. He vows that England will never surrender to Hitler. But that doesn't stop Hitler. Hitler wants all of Europe. Okay? Remember that idea of Lebensraum? Well, this is Hitler's idea of spreading Germany out and conquering all of Europe. So now he's going to attack England. Okay? Now, Germany's plan for the invasion of Britain all had to do with air. So it all has to do with trying to take out Britain's air force, because Britain had quite a strong Royal Air Force at the time. So in the summer of 1940, Germany's Luftwaffe, which is the German Air Force, they start to bomb different areas of England. First, they start bombing just airports, anything to do with the Air Force. But eventually, because Winston Churchill and the English people have such a strong morale to take Hitler out, they start to bomb cities. So if you can imagine, London, which is one of the biggest cities in the world, London is being bombed almost every day for a year. Now, because of their two different machines or inventions in World War II, Britain was actually able to counteract these attacks. So the first thing is that they used this thing called radar. Now, you probably have heard of radar now. It's a way to sort of track from a distance airplanes that are coming in, okay? The second thing that they have is a code breaker machine. This is called the Enigma. This means that any secret German message that is being sent out, the British can decode that message using the Enigma. These two things helped Britain sort of, I wouldn't say defeat Hitler and Germany, but stopped Hitler and Germany from invading Britain. So almost a whole year later, in May of 1941, Germany decides that continually attacking Britain with their air force is not working. And so they back off and set their new sights in Eastern Europe. Your second question of today is going to be about this Battle of Britain. The question is, what does the Battle of Britain prove to the rest of the world? Okay, so that's your second question. All right, so now let's go quickly to looking at Mussolini. Remember, Mussolini is our fascist dictator in Italy. Now, at first, Mussolini does not join Hitler, okay? He is trying to remain neutral. He's focused on Italy, okay? But as soon as Hitler has taken over France, Mussolini declares war on France and Britain, and he starts to move into sort of the southern part of France as well. The next area that Mussolini sort of starts to take control of is North Africa. Okay, so in September 1940, we have Mussolini attacks the British. The British are already in North Africa. Okay. Then there sort of is this push back and forth in North Africa. So in December 1940, we have the British attack and drive Italians back into Italy. But we have the Germans, they sort of come into play in Northern Africa, and specifically one German general named Erwin Rommel. Erwin Rommel is able to battle against the British, and he starts to win. The British sort of have a battle back with him and push him back to where he was. But 2 years later, Rommel sort of regroups all his troops. He sort of thinks about how to attack, and he attacks again. And the third time he attacks, he succeeds. So the British are now sort of pushed out of Northern Africa. So again, we have another place where Germany sort of is able to take control of different areas. So if we were to think of Germany, is Germany winning versus the Allied powers, we definitely see that Germany is winning at this point in the beginning of World War II. Now we also have Germans in the Balkans. Now the Balkans is areas like Romania, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, and Greece. Okay, this is sort of what we clue to be the Balkans. Hitler has two plans. First, he wants to eventually invade Soviet Union. Now, if you remember, at the beginning, Hitler and the Soviet Union, they were kind of in an agreement together. Well, now that agreement is off, okay? Hitler allowed Soviet Union to take part of Poland, but now Hitler is planning to take that back, okay, and invade Russia itself. First, he takes over Yugoslavia and Greece. Greece falls to the Nazis in just 10 days, and they celebrate this by actually raising a swastika on the Acropolis, which is that famous Greek ruin. Later on, as soon as he's taken over the Balkans, Hitler starts to invade the Soviet Union, okay? This is actually sort of reminiscent of 130 years before when Napoleon, who was French, remember, sort of invaded most of Europe. Now, Napoleon tried to invade Russia back then and failed because of the cold. Germany and Hitler said, no, we are going to keep on going even though even though they were freezing and they were not well equipped, okay? So by 1941, Germany invades Soviet Union. The Soviet troops, they are burning land to try and throw the Germans off. But the Germans end up sort of dominating up until Leningrad, okay? Eventually, they try to take over Moscow, but the weather doesn't allow them to do that. So, at this point, basically, Hitler has taken control of pretty much all of Europe, okay? Where are the Americans in this? If you do not remember, Americans wanted to have neutrality. They did not want to meddle in sort of the problems and issues of Europe. So America did not join the war, okay? I will note, Canadians, I'm Canadian, we did join the war. We were there helping the British while all of this was happening, okay? But Americans wanted to avoid war. Roosevelt feared that if the Allies fell, the U.S. would eventually have to fight. So what he ends up doing is that he hopes to strengthen allies so they can resist Germany. They don't join, but they do give a lot of money, which is loans. They give weapons to countries fighting against Germany. So even though America isn't sending soldiers yet, they are trying to sort of help fund the war to make sure that Germany is sort of put in their place. Roosevelt and Churchill meet on this issue, and this is when they're meeting, they sort of come up with the Atlantic Charter. So that is this idea of supporting free trade and the right to form their own government during this time. Okay, this is a very long chapter. You have 2 questions. Now, the third question I want you to ask on this chapter is, do you think that it was right for America to stay neutral during this time? This is an opinion question. So in total, you have 3 questions for this video.